What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Countdown Scouting Network. I'm your host, Joey Garcia, and today we are getting into the offensive tackle class of the 2024 summer scouting cycle. So we got offensive linemen going this week, and on Friday we will have edge rushers. So um, let's go ahead and get into it. This one should be a quick one. All right. Starting out at number 5 is Armarius Mims from Georgia. He's 6'7", 330 pounds, and he's played sparingly so far. Georgia has produced a lot of quality tackles and interior offensive linemen, so he hasn't gotten to play that much. But with that being said, he has played for the last 2 years at least. I think it was at least 200 snaps each of the last 2 years. He played mostly at right tackle, but I think he's a guy who, worst case, if you had to put him on the left side, he'd be manageable. He's really long, and with that, he's just kind of not great at moving his body. He's kind of slow to pick up his feet and everything, but speed rushers are going to have a hard time getting around him just because of his reach. That's kind of what I've tended to know. He's an okay pass blocker because of the reach. He doesn't sit down very well. Bull rushing, he is 330 pounds, but he's got he's high hipped, and that kind of causes concern with bull rushers. That's probably his biggest concern in pass protection. He's not a great pass protector, but he's adequate enough to be put on this list. He's a good first level run blocker, though. He stays low, even at 6'7". He does a good job of keeping his pad level low against other guys. He's not going to be able to move up to second level that well. He's not a guy like I know last year Georgia had Broderick Jones at tackle, who was a beast who they'd put out on sweeps and get him to pull as a tackle and get out in spacing and kick out safeties and everything. You're not going to see that with Armarius Mims. So, but he's an adequate blocker at the first level. The guy in front of him, if he gets his paws on him, he's done for. Next, we'll go to number 4. This is BYU's tackle, Kingsley Suamataya. He is 6'6", 325 pounds. So again, we're getting some quality size in these tackles. He's purely a right tackle. He doesn't work in at left tackle at all. But he's got very good footwork that I'm very surprised that they haven't tried him out at left tackle. I don't know if that's because last year they did have Blake Freeland who was playing left tackle. That might be why. I wouldn't be surprised if this year they moved him out to left tackle. That's probably the move I would do. But he is very natural in the way that he picks up his feet. Being 325 pounds, his feet feel very light, and he moves very, very well. The problem I'm having with him in pass protection, and again, this is probably just because he's so young and hasn't had that many snaps, is that he's a waist bender. He in pass protection, he always tries to reach for these guys, and he tries to shoot his hands a little too early. He doesn't want to let them get close enough to his chest to strike at them, and it causes him to lean forward a little bit, which could be bad for counter moves with speed rushers coming off the outside. Other than that, I think he moves really well. So in the run game, especially if you're running a zone system or a wide zone, I think he's going to be a very adequate move blocker. And that's why I had him in front of Mims that I had at number 5. But again, this is another guy who I want to see a lot more reps, and you'll see a lot more of him this year and kind of be able to figure out if he's going to have to move inside, if he's going to be able to play on the right side, if he's going to play on the left side. But if I was BYU, I think I'd move him to left tackle and let him play that out this year. The next guy, this is the first Notre Dame tackle out of 2. I'll give that hint right now. And it is their right tackle, Blake Fisher. He's 6'6", 325 pounds. Again, we got good length on these guys, good size. He uses his eyes very, very well. He's very instinctual offensive lineman. Some of these offensive linemen are more power and bruisers, and they just want to throw people around. He diagnoses. He knows what's coming. He's a guy that plans before he attacks, which is great. But he's also super powerful in the run. His feet are slow in pass protection. I think that's something that's really going to bite him in the butt, and he might have to move inside because of that. But he's got a good anchor, and he's powerful in the run. So I think worst case scenario with him, you move him inside and have him as a guy who's an emergency right tackle for you, but I think he could play both guard spots very, very well. The next guy, I told you there's two Notre Dame offensive tackles on this list, is Joe Alt, the left tackle, 6'8", 315 pounds. He's got great size, great wingspan, and elite athleticism. He looks like a basketball player out there. The way he moves his feet at 315 pounds. His anchor is a little bit of a problem. Anytime you see these guys above 6'7", you can kind of tell that their anchor is a little weak. They aren't able to sit down as well and kind of sit in their stance and take on that force because their center of gravity is so high. So that's something that's concerning with him a little bit, but his feet are really good. He's an okay run blocker. He's not someone that moves people off the pile or anything like that, but he moves well enough where he can stay in front of people. I just worry about the power bull rushes. So we'll see what he does this year. This will be his second year starting at left tackle, and he played a little bit of left tackle the year before that as well. But I'm excited to see what he does. This could be the first tackle taken off the board. I know a lot of people have him as a OT1. I have a guy in front of him that I like a little bit more just because of the pure size and athleticism. And that's Olu Fashanu, the offensive tackle from Penn State. If he came out last year, he'd be probably talked about as OT2, OT3, and probably a top 15 pick. Instead, he decides to go back to school, finish his degree. Good for him. He's 6'6", 325 pounds, and he's a left tackle. He's got the size and wingspan just like the rest of these guys. You don't have any of these tackles like Peter Skoronski from Northwestern last year or Rashawn Slater from Northwestern a couple years ago, or any of those guys where you're wondering, is the length of the arms going to be a problem? These guys all have long arms. They're tall enough. He's got really good lateral agility, and he's so raw, too. You can tell with what he does. Some things he does is just pure athleticism, and if he can get his technique and instincts down a little bit better, he's a guy who I see top 5 tackle in this league. So if he's a smart enough kid and he's a more than athletic enough kid that with his lateral agility, his athleticism, and his strength, he has a lot of pure strength. Fix up a little bit here and there, he could be the best tackle in this draft class and a top 5 tackle in the league in the next 2 years. That's purely what I believe from my evaluation and film study that I watched of him. So I'm sure we'll talk about him a lot more as the season progresses and we actually start watching some of these games. So let's go ahead and get to some of these honorable mentions that we didn't get to talk about. So there's Tommy Brockermeyer. He is the right tackle. He was at Alabama the last couple years. He transferred to TCU this year, so we'll finally be able to get to see him play. He didn't get any playing time really at Alabama, so he transferred to get some playing time. Now, I'm excited to see what he's got in him. Again, there's not much other than a few reps at right tackle. From what I saw, he looked average as a run blocker and average as a pass blocker. There wasn't anything concerning, but there wasn't anything that popped off the tape saying, "Oh my God, this guy's going to be a beast." Reuben Fothery, he is from Texas A&M. Again, he's one of those 5 stars that they brought in, and he just really hasn't put anything together yet. But this could be the year that he pops off. He's got the athleticism. He's got the size. Let's just see if he can put it all together. I know some of those Texas A&M guys have had it rough so far. I want to see him and a few of these other guys turn it around. Joshua Gray from Oregon State, super athletic tackle. You can see him in the picture below. He's got to get a little bit more strength and size on him. I would hope once he gets to the league. Probably not going to happen this year. But that's really what he's missing. He's an athletic offensive tackle, but I'm concerned you won't be able to move him onto the inside next year if he ends up declaring, just because his frame needs to fill out a little bit more. He doesn't have really the anchor to support playing inside. So he's probably just a tackle. I want to see him be able to put a little bit more power to him, though. Nolan Rucci from Wisconsin was another guy I wanted to throw in here and kind of give some love. There's not much to say about these Wisconsin offensive linemen other than they are very disciplined and powerful. So he's a guy who you would like to see a little bit more technique on pass protection, but he's gonna be able to move a guy off the line on run blocking, and he's very technical with keeping his pad level down as well. So these were, I think we went through 9 guys today. So 9 guys to kind of talk about on at the tackle position. I believe we have 8 or 9 interior offensive linemen to talk about a little bit on Wednesday. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. Go ahead and leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and put down in the comment section if there's an offensive tackle that I did not talk about today that you think needs to be getting some love before the season starts. So that's all I got for you guys. Have a great day. Peace.